is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Brothers podcast. Josh Johnson and Ben Watts here with you in the driver's seat. We're talking fantasy football. We're here for the second time this week. It's exciting stuff here.
For some people,
we're stoked.
I'm stoked. You are not.
I don't know what you're talking about, actually.
I know you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm doing wonderful. I have this smile plastered on my face. I have no clue what you're talking about. My liver is fine.
You had to take some Joker toxins or something from the 1980s Batman movie to keep that smile up.
Yeah. It was a great night.
Dive right into it, don't we?
We'll just leave it there. Tell you what, before we get into that, I did make a point to get a quick question here from Instagram. By the way, if you're not following us on Instagram, check us out there, @FantasyBrothers_. Also, while we're at it, let's just hit all the things here off the top.
Get the housekeeping out of the way.
I just want to say, the podcast right now is doing better than it ever has done in the past. It is up and to the right, and for that, we are incredibly thankful for everybody listening to the show, telling their friends about the show. We are very, very excited about the state of the Fantasy Brothers podcast. A way that I feel like it has just been growing is word of mouth. One thing that we have found to be incredibly helpful with that is leaving a rating wherever you're listening to the show. You can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us out a bunch in the algorithms. And, if you watch it on YouTube, hit subscribe, the bell, all those fun things. But just before we even get started, just want to say appreciate all you guys listening, and we are incredibly grateful.
For sure.
Now with all that sappy stuff out of the way, let's hop into... Let's hop into the quick question.
You used to open the show with how lovely we were. We had to stop that.
Oh yeah.
This is this is a football podcast.
We had to get rid of that lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Quick questions from @nick.mez on Instagram.
What's up, Nick?
He says, do you like the strategy of going wide receiver heavy in the first 4 to 5 rounds, or would you guys balance it out? Ben, I leave the question with you.
I would go running back heavy, maybe start taking wide receivers in the 5th, 6th round. That is not true.
There's only one person that will tell you to do that, Ben. There's only one person.
There is only one. We all know it. We all know his name.
We all know who he is.
We all know who that is.
We don't like him.
No, if there is ever a year to not take running backs, it's this year. It is the time for finally come. Yes, I do like going wide receiver heavy first 4 or 5 rounds. I'm big on hero running back this year. I like taking, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, or maybe a Tony Pollard, and just loading up at wide receiver. Walk out of the draft with a Tyreek Hill, a Cooper Kupp, a T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, all of those guys who all have wide receiver 1 potential, or some of them are wide receiver 1s and can just be elite wide receiver finishes. And then I'll get my one good running back production, and I'll figure the rest of it out later. So, yes, yeah. I love going receiver heavy early this year.
I will say I typically, in the first 3 rounds specifically, because I think that's where a lot of this strategy sort of comes into play. It's not really the first 5, because honestly, the 4th and 5th rounds for me are just sort of best player available. But in the first 3 rounds, I absolutely have a strategy. And we'll get into that a little bit later today because we're doing a mock draft on this episode. So we'll talk about this more a little bit later in the mock. But in those first 3 rounds, I absolutely depending on my draft spot, I want to target specifically either super wide receiver heavy or grabbing multiple running backs, or maybe just grabbing one running back. And it sort of depends on who's going to be there on the board. Like, for example, if I'm drafting early, I want to grab a wide receiver with my first pick. I want to probably try and grab Tony Pollard in the second round. He's been my number one target there for running back in the second. But I don't want to leave all 3 rounds with no running backs. So maybe you go Christian McCaffrey and grab 2 receivers. We talked about that on the last episode. I want to try and get at least one, but for sure going wide receiver heavy overall, I think is a good strategy this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it always depends on who's there. I mean, if the value is just there on some running backs, like say for in a unbelievable scenario, Nick Chubb is there in the late second round, and I grabbed Christian McCaffrey in the first round. Sure, I can't pass up that value, but in a perfect world, I'm getting a lot of wide receivers early.
100%. All right. There was some news. I don't know if you're aware of this, Ben. The 2 main running backs. My gosh. Okay, well, so first of all, Dalvin Cook signed a 1 year up to, I think it was $8 million deal with the Jets.
That's a lot.
I don't know how much of that was guaranteed, but it was a significant.
I think it was like
change.
$7 million is guaranteed.
Okay, it was a lot. It was a lot of money for a 1 year deal for Dalvin Cook.
Saquon Barkley only makes $9 million.
Jeez. Jeez. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that
doesn't help the situation either.
It doesn't.
That makes you feel
really
even worse.
Doesn't.
I'm like, they're actually paying him a lot of money, so it's not like they got a throwaway here.
Well, regardless, Dalvin Cook signed with the Jets. Breece Hall then was immediately activated off the PUP. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
They signed him, and
they
then
threw a bone to all the Hall owners. At least he's playing.
Hey, he's healthy.
Ish.
Okay. Ish. Apparently not. We're signing Dalvin Cook. Really what this is Aaron Rodgers took that massive $35 million pay cut, but it was one of those pay cuts where he said, okay, I'll take a pay cut, but you need to go sign somebody. And they said, okay, we'll go sign Dalvin Cook.
You need to get me everything I want.
And they were like, sure, whatever you want.
They need to do and it looks like they are, do what Tom Brady did when he went to Tampa. Like, I'm coming to Tampa.
Yep.
But I want this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and I'll win you a Super Bowl. And
yep.
he did.
And that's what's happening. Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall. How are we feeling about it?
We probably should have seen this coming. I mean, obviously there are the reports a couple weeks ago. Nothing ever really came of it, but we knew they were more than likely bringing in someone. Now, that being said, Dalvin Cook's probably worst case scenario. I thought, if they had brought somebody in Leonard Fournette who was really showing signs of slowing down the past couple years, Kareem Hunt doesn't really scare me too much. But I think Dalvin Cook is a significant signing, especially look at what they're paying him. From a football move, it makes sense. They're going to try to preserve Breece Hall. They're all in to win this year, and I get that. And they don't want to, in the process, rush Breece Hall back, get him hurt again, and basically ruin him for years to come. So you bring in Dalvin Cook. Obviously it sucks for Breece Hall owners. I still think he has value, and over the back half of the season, he will still be good, I think. He won't be the league winner like I think we thought. He's a capped RB2 probably, but still an RB2 back half of the season, I think. The start of the season is where it's going to sting because I think they're really going to take their time easing him in with Dalvin Cook. Yeah. I don't know where you have him ranked. I dropped Breece Hall to around running back 20, and I've got Dalvin around 25 for me.
So funny you should mention that because I have also got Dalvin Cook at RB25, and I have also got Breece Hall at RB20. Yeah.
I'm glad we are on the same page.
I wonder, like, how did you arrive at those rankings? Because I definitely had, like, I was thinking about it, and I was just trying to figure out, like, how is this going to play out? What's the story of this season going to be? Because I think if we look at RB20 for Breece Hall, obviously a lot of people see Dalvin Cook get signed and the RB8 season or whatever we had envisioned for Breece Hall goes out the window. But I don't know how you view it, but like in terms of the story of Breece Hall's season, the story of Dalvin Cook's season, how do you sort of see this thing playing out?
Yeah, I think at least for the first few weeks, it's definitely going to be more Dalvin Cook focused, I believe. So it's going to be a slow start for Breece, which is what they want, why they're bringing him in the first place, is so they don't have to rush him back. Because, I mean, historically, it is tough for these running backs coming off this injuries. Unless your name is Adrian Peterson or somebody, you just don't have a top 5 season coming off an ACL more than likely. So on that front, we probably should have seen it coming. But we've also been betting on Breece Hall for the back half of the season, which, again, I don't see him being top 5 like we were probably envisioning for him being, last 6 games of the year, he's scoring 25 points a game. But I think he can still be a pretty good RB2, because I think as the season goes along, he's going to get a bigger workload. And towards the end, he's going to be the lead back instead of them easing him in.
Okay. We are 100% on the same page because that's how I feel about it too. Like, I think early on, Breece Hall's probably not going to be, I mean, he'll be involved, but not incredibly involved. And like when I was calculating my projections, I was factoring in a lower volume workload for like the first 4 to 5 weeks of the year for Breece Hall, and then raising it a little bit, maybe only like 13 carries a game, but still involved, but more of a 50-50 split for like the next 8-ish weeks. And then from there on out, factoring in Breece Hall at more of a 15 to 17 carries a week, and then Dalvin Cook in more of that supporting role, maybe 8 to 10 carries a week. Because I do think there will come a point where Breece Hall takes over the backfield, and it might not be till closer to the fantasy playoffs, but I just think he's too good. Dalvin Cook will get some wear and tear on his body throughout the season, and should. And this is
it's assuming both guys stay healthy the whole season.
Right. What really was surprising about this? It was uncanny how much these stats and honestly the fantasy finishes looked like Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams from 2 years ago. They look identical.
It'll be like to where Breece Hall is the better back. But they're paying Dalvin Cook a lot of money, and they are intentionally not going to overwork Breece Hall.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've got, in terms of like carry totals right now, I've got Breece Hall projected for 212 on the season, and I've got Dalvin Cook projected for 220. I'm
guessing like towards the beginning of the season, I'm expecting a big Dalvin Cook workload, and like you said, probably 50-50. This is, I don't know if it's perfect, best case scenario, I don't know. First 6 weeks, it's probably Dalvin 70-30. Then you get closer to 50-50. And toward the end of the season, I'm guessing it's probably more of a 60-40 Breece Hall, like the past last 5 games or so.
Yeah. That's sort of how I feel about it, too. I think we're pretty much on the same page there. It's a bummer, but like we knew it was coming, too.
Yeah.
You were telling us about our good old buddy Landon, who did not realize that this was on its way somehow. We all knew this was coming.
We had a mega deal. We won't go into the full details of the trade, but essentially we had a mega deal on the board, and Breece Hall was in it, and I was in like Travis Etienne and stuff like that. And at the time, I knew I was overpaying, I think, but I wanted some other players in the deal. And then this like officially comes out, and I kind of just pulled it. I'm like, I can't do this, man, because my team is competing in this league, and I do expect Breece to be significantly better over the back half of the season. But unless Dalvin is hurt, it does cap his ceiling as not a top 5 finisher, more of RB 15, 12 to 15, I think, is where he could finish over the back half of the season. Unless, obviously, an injury to Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of how I'm feeling about it. It's a bummer. My liver is struggle busting today, just a little bit.
Because you were betting on Breece Hall in more than one league.
I was, and it's really unfortunate because subconsciously, I mean, I knew that Dalvin Cook was going to arrive, but there's just something about like knowing something's going to happen and sort of expecting it to happen, and then it actually happening. I mean, maybe there was that still sort of hope of
like, once, because Dalvin was there, everybody was saying he's going to sign, and then he goes and visits somewhere else. I think he visited Miami or the Patriots, I think, after the Jets, and they're like, well, maybe he ends up going there, and then you kind of don't hear about it for a week or two, and you think maybe it's maybe it's passed, and
nope, I mean, remember. Oh crap! I'm blanking on his name right now. The guy who visited the Saints last week and then did not sign.
Kareem Hunt. My
God, I don't know why I forgot his name. Kareem Hunt visits, and it's all signs point to Kareem Hunt. Yeah, they said he was going to sign, and you're thinking, well, if you got Alvin Kamara, I mean, that's tanked, and then he just doesn't sign at all, and then Kendre Miller gets hurt, and now Alvin Kamara's great. There's always a chance that a lifeline gets thrown to you as a Breece Hall owner, and you're hoping, hey, maybe he just signed somewhere else, and maybe they only signed Leonard Fournette. And, Leonard Fournette is not Dalvin Cook, and you'd feel a lot better about Breece Hall. But
Leonard Fournette has slowed down big time, but Dalvin he's still got his burst. I mean, I think he was one of the fastest players clocked last year. They clocked him at 22, 23 miles an hour.
Jeez. Okay. I have a couple questions about Dalvin Cook then about rankings, about who you'd prefer. So I'm just coming over here to my rankings to guys that I've got around Dalvin Cook. Would you prefer Cook or Rachaad White?
Cook.
Okay. Cook or Samaje Perine?
Cook.
Okay. Cook or, let's see, J.K. Dobbins?
That one's tough. I'm not a big J.K. Dobbins believer, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. What about Dalvin Cook or James Cook?
Dalvin.
Okay. Last one, Dalvin Cook or A.J. Dillon?
Dalvin.
Okay. So your cutoff is basically J.K. Dobbins, which may not say much.
Yeah, and I don't believe in J.K. Dobbins, but I guess he's the starter there.
What about Dalvin or Zach Charbonnet?
Until I see Charbonnet, Dalvin.
Dalvin or DeAndre Swift?
Don't do that. I was worried you were going to say that the whole time.
I know. I knew you.
You know what? Screw it. Swift.
Oh, God.
I am a Swift believer. I'm a Swiftie.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. Okay. The other major signing news was that Ezekiel Elliott signed with the New England Patriots, and the Ramondre Stevenson truthers wept.
Dalvin and Breece were such a bigger situation that I feel like this one almost kind of got swept under the rug. Zeke did sign.
It did. But I think it's different because Zeke at 28 and Dalvin Cook at 28, I think, are two different players. But Zeke does impact that backfield. It's just sort of like, I don't know how much you view his impact in the backfield, but I do think it's something.
Dude. Like I dove so much into Dalvin and Breece yesterday. And I was like, oh yeah, this hurts Ramondre, and I didn't really put a whole ton of thought into how much does it hurt him. Obviously, Dalvin was by far, at least in my mind, the best running back still on the board. So, yes, he hurts Breece.
Yeah.
Is Zeke going to be more of just the goal line guy? I don't know, because I think Ramondre is the better back at this point, and he's a better pass catcher.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to give Zeke the ball somewhere.
Yeah, what's really interesting about it is Zeke is still an elite pass protector. Ramondre's a good pass protector. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But Zeke is an elite pass protector as a running back. So he gets on the field that way. He's also a really good goal line back, like a really good goal line back. We saw that the past couple of years with Dallas. I mean, he just scored touchdown after touchdown. Dude was not really good as a running back overall last year, but he scored double-digit touchdowns. I mean, he was great. So I don't know how involved he gets overall. I don't think that he sort of impacts Ramondre's ability to get 230 touches. But I mean, I do think that Zeke basically just caps his upside, but doesn't impact his like fantasy floor, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, he does not hurt Ramondre nearly as much as Dalvin hurts Brees.
Agreed, for sure.
I would drop Ramondre down my rankings. I'm not sure how much I drop him, because I still think, like you said, he has a floor as the pass catcher still. He's going to be okay in that offense. He's still the lead back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I agree. I don't think he just doesn't hit the upside anymore.
I got an interesting thought there. Where would you side with Ramondre Stevenson or Najee Harris right now?
I think I would take Najee Harris.
I would too. I feel like Najee is like the RB13, RB14, something like that, like a high RB2, low RB1. I think a lot of people had him as like a top 5 guy coming into this season, and I mean that ship has sailed. But I still think he can be, a fringe top 12 running back.
I think Najee Harris and Travis Etienne both became much more appealing after all these signings. I mean, not that they weren't already appealing assets. They were going to be very good this year, especially Etienne. I'm actually kind of high on Etienne. I think he's going to have a really big year. But both of them, obviously they jump Ramondre, obviously they jump Breece Hall. I think their situations are very safe, unlike Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor. I think they jump into possibly top 10 backs this year. Now that all this is going on.
I'll be honest, I've been there with Najee. Like Najee right now, after this wave of signings, he is creeping up. He's like RB7 or something for me right now, just because
he's getting there. I think Etienne's
how many
like
guys,
8 or 9 right now.
Probably, yeah. I'm still a little worried about Tank Bigsby, but is Tank Bigsby gonna really eat into his workload? I don't project it that way necessarily.
I mean, I think Tank is a weird running back. He's a guy that he's good at everything, but he's not amazing at anything. So he's one of those backs that I do think he's going to get kind of lost in the mix. He's going to be okay. He's a good back, but he doesn't excel at anything like Etienne does.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of this, especially with Zeke and Ramondre, will be wait and see, because
don't panic on them yet. You can panic on Breece.
No.
Go ahead. Hit the panic, especially if you already drafted him as your RB like 11 in drafts this year.
Yeah, that would have not worked out well. Zeke and Ramondre feels like wait and see. I mean, honestly, Dalvin and Breece still feels like wait and see, but I do think you can sort of project. You can tell the story about what Dalvin and Breece will be this year already, I think, with Zeke and Ramondre. We hope. Yeah, you're right. With Zeke and Ramondre, I don't know if we can tell that story yet. It's sort of a to be determined there.
I have one question going back to Breece Hall.
Okay.
And we touched on it in our personal conversations, but I don't think we ever dove in. So, looking from a dynasty perspective, obviously it's only a 1-year deal from Dalvin. Yeah. But it is a year you're going to struggle with Breece, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be older in a year. I don't know how long he's got in the tank. I think Breece was firmly the RB2 in Dynasty before this. Who's the RB2 now? Because I don't think it's Breece. I don't know about you.
I don't think it's Breece either, just because this year, what are we going to get? I've got him at RB20. That just feels like I cannot have my RB2 in Dynasty not being a top 12 guy this coming season. I don't know if I can stomach that.
Yeah. And then it can't be Taylor, you would think jumps up there, but with all the questions around him, he was my RB3 in Dynasty. Yeah. He's not there.
For me, it's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. I got Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's
crazy that it's Bijan and Gibbs both drafted this year, but I think it's them definitely. I mean, you can argue Christian McCaffrey, and I do see your point there too.
Yeah. I mean, so with McCaffrey, he's still got multiple years of team control. And so in that sense, I think he's pretty secure. He plays a role where he doesn't incur a ton of like punishment, I guess. And honestly, the upshot of him missing 2 seasons essentially is that's 2 seasons of punishment he hasn't taken. So, with Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he's 27. He's a pass catching back on an elite offense. I mean, this is a guy who can be the RB1 and, nobody's surprised. He could be the RB1 for the next 3 years, and I don't think anybody would be all that surprised about it.
I'd be surprised at 3 years.
Okay, 2 years. We'll say the next 2 years. We'll keep it a little bit more fluid than that.
But
so I just take the production.
Gibbs.
You could,
because Gibbs is playing a similar role to Christian McCaffrey that we've seen so far in everything that the Lions have done in preseason, all that stuff.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be the same thing
on what should be a good offense.
Christian McCaffrey gets 240 carries and 80 catches. Jahmyr Gibbs probably gets like 140 carries.
We'll see.
They're not the same.
I'll put him at 3 for my personal rankings.
Okay, we can have Gibbs at 3 in Dynasty. That's okay. I don't think that's nuts.
You talking about McCaffrey at 3?
No.
Look at it this way: if I can trade McCaffrey for Gibbs, I'm doing it.
There's a conversation there,
which would tell me that Gibbs is 2 for me.
Yeah, maybe I'd look at it as I have a competing frame of reference around it.
That's fair.
So in my mind, I would rather have the production. Other guys in there probably are like ETN. I think Javonte Williams is very subtly in this
he's
top
a dark
5
horse
Dynasty.
Right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to admit it, but I think he's in there. You got Jonathan Taylor. I think Tony Pollard's worth mentioning. Najee Harris, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall. Yeah, I don't know.
I think ETN and Najee are decent bets because both of them I still think have 3 years of team control with the first round draft capital. So it may seem a little bit blasphemous, but Najee Harris and Travis Etienne could be working their way into being right now top 5 dynasty backs.
Yeah. Would not hate it at all. All right. You want to do a mock draft?
Sure. Let's apply everything we've discussed now.
All right, let's do...
And I bet the sleeper ADP does not care. Breece Hall is still going to go in the second round.
Oh, my gosh. So we've got a 12-team PPR mock draft. Ben is doing the early duty here, drafting at the 102. I'm at the 110. We did randomize this.
I didn't pick
full
this,
transparency.
Though I'll take it.
The 2 is nice. I will grant you. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Oh, my God.
Yes!
Travis Kelce goes with the first pick in the draft.
I will happily take Jettas.
I have not yet seen a Travis Kelce 101. That is wild. Cooper Kupp went at the one. Oh, wow. This is a weird draft already. Okay.
Look, I like CD and Stephon Diggs. I ain't taking them over Kupp.
Jeez. Okay. Ben takes Justin Jefferson at the 102. Amazing. Christian McCaffrey at the 103. Jamar Chase at the 104. Team 4 is very happy about that. Austin Eckler at the 105. Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp. And I'm on the clock. This is interesting.
This is easy money right here.
Is this easy money? Let me get a little quick look at the board here. I do think this is pretty easy money.
Do it.
I'm gonna go Bijan Robinson.
Yes, sir. You love to see it.
You do love to see it. Okay.
I bet you were hoping Saquon made it back.
I was hoping I could start Bijan.
We were talking about wide receivers early, but if I go Bijan and Saquon late, that feels pretty good.
That feels real nice. Nick Chubb won at the 111, A.J. Brown at the 112, Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 201, Saquon at the 202. I am once again on the clock here after the short turn, and I'm, it would feel blasphemous to pass here. I'm going to take Devontae Adams at the 203.
It's a good choice.
Patrick Mahomes goes to the 204. Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. Jalen Waddle goes to the 208. Josh Allen at the 209. Garrett Wilson at the 210. And Ben is once again on the clock.
All right, so we've got a risky play here. I know who I want to take, but do I risk? Because there's one. You know what? No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go wide receiver, Justin Jefferson and Chris Olave.
Hey yo!
I was hoping maybe Tony Pollard made it back. He did not. So, Chris Olave, Jalen Hurts, and Tony Pollard go at the 212 and 3-1. So I'm back on the clock. Staring down Ramondre Stevenson. We just talked about it. I can't do him there.
No.
I think there's a tier break after Chris Olave. I've got guys I like here. Nobody really stands out to me. I may call a little bit of a shot. We talked about him just a minute ago, actually, and take Travis Etienne.
There you go. Yeah, I figured you would probably need to grab yourself a running back there. Wow, you started a run. Najee Harris goes to the 303, Ramondre at the 304, Breece Hall at the 305. Those are now bad picks. Devonta Smith at the 306, Mark Andrews, T. Higgins, Kenneth Walker at the 309. And I'm once again on the clock. I've talked about it before. My go-to third-round pick is on the board here for me, and I'm not really going to think about it all too much. Jahmyr Gibbs is the pick here at the 310. We're sticking to our guns here. Deebo Samuel at the 311. TJ Hawkinson's gone at the 312.
No!
Ben is in shambles. DK Metcalf at the 401.
Plan.
Lamar Jackson, the 402. This is also going to be a very easy pick. I'm going to take Calvin Ridley here at the 403. And we're just
I think
racking up
all
Ben's
the my guys are off the board now.
We're taking all of Ben's my guys here in the late first picks. Joe Mixon goes to the 404. Keenan Allen at the 405. Joe Burrow at the 406. Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper at the 409. George Kittle at the 410.
That's a
leaving
hot
Ben
pick for DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, that's 408 is woo-wee.
So,
that's bold.
Back looking at it, I'm trying to break this into tiers in my head of, our own personal rankings. There's a couple guys here. I think there's a break at wide receiver right now. There's guys I like. Nobody really shocks me. There is a running back that you and I both like.
Mm-hmm.
That back into the fourth round, I still think it's okay to take Miles Sanders here.
There you go. I figured that was going to be the pick.
So back on Miles Sanders, Terry McLaurin, Damian Pierce, Yuck and Yuck. Both go at the
Yuck and Yuck. Come on now, Terry McLaurin's not bad.
I like Terry. I'll give you that.
Let's be honest.
Let's put it this: Sam Howell's Yuck.
Sam Howell is.
Terry's
Terry's
honestly
great.
One of the best receivers in the league. If he was on another team, he could be top. He could be a top 5 receiver.
100%. He's 1,500 yards waiting to happen with competent quarterback play. Fortunately, he has terrible quarterbacks every year.
2 wide receivers and 2 quarterbacks here that I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in the 5th round. You're in your quarterback territory here.
Normally, when I do these mocks, I don't end up taking one. But I also don't think that Trevor Lawrence would make it back to me at the end of the 6th. It's a 12-teamer. So that's a long turn. And I think Justin Herbert and Justin Fields both have some league-winning upside. I am going to do it. I'm going to take Justin Fields.
Oh, thank goodness.
You think I was going to take Herbert?
No. Dang it!
Waller?
Double dang it! Oh, I hate this. Crap. Okay. Well, you took Fields, Herbert went, DJ Moore, Drake London, Madison, Christian Watson. Trevor Lawrence goes to the 508. Then Darren Waller goes. Those are going to be my next two picks. I would have taken both of them.
Unfortunate.
God. I was going to take Lawrence to stack him with Ridley, and then I was going to take Waller at the 603. I had it already planned out.
Going Lawrence Ridley in the 4th and 5th. That feels good.
All right. Well, we got to figure this thing back out again because I am in a shambles. I do not want to take any of these tight ends here in the 5th round. I'll be honest with you. There's some wide receivers that are interesting, but I'm not really like blown away by any of them. So this is, oh my gosh, dude. I truly have no clue who I want to pick. I guess I'm just going to go call my shot on an upside guy. Am I going to do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Jerry Jeudy here in the 5th round.
That's who I would have taken too. So that's a good pick.
Fair enough. Kyle Pitts at the 511. I'm so pissed.
You going to take Pitts?
No, I just am still pissed about Trevor Lawrence and Darren Waller. It's so frustrating. DeAndre Swift goes to the 512. That is a pick. J.K. Dobbins at the 601. Michael Pittman. Dude, it's the 5th round, and he's not even assured to be the starter.
Let's not get into this on camera.
Every other running back
Josh
right
and I
here is
had
assured.
a shouting match on Sunday. A literal shouting match about DeAndre Swift.
We did.
I thought the show was going to be over.
I'm not even indicting Swift. All I'm saying is J.K. Dobbins is assured to be the starter for his team. DeAndre Swift is not. It's not ironclad.
And he may catch a grand total of 6 passes this year.
He might.
If we're lucky.
He might. I did not say I will draft J.K. Dobbins because I have not drafted him anywhere. I'm just saying he is assured to be his team's starting running back. Okay. I'm back on the clock at the 6:03. My draft strategy has basically blown up, and I have to pivot.
Pivot?
There's not really anybody that I am over the moon to take here. I'll be totally honest with you.
I got a few I like here. I don't think any of them are going to fall back to me, but I got a few.
Okay. I'm looking at this in terms of tiers. I think there is a definite tier break at tight end about to happen. There's also, oh my goodness. Okay, there's 2 guys that I am very interested in. Ben, let's try this. Okay, 1 player is heads, 1 player is tails. Which one am I going to pick? Heads or tails?
Heads.
All right, I am taking Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Wow. That hurts my feelings because I was definitely going to take him.
I know. It was either take Jackson Smith-Njigba there or not get the chance to take him in the 7th round.
I thought for sure that Cam Akers would be the pick.
No. See, I've already got 2 running backs. If I had only taken 1 running back, I would have probably taken Cam Akers.
That's fair.
But I've got Bijan and Gibbs. I feel good that I can still wait on a running back. It was either going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba or Dallas Goedert because I felt like past Goddard, the tight ends were kind of yucky. But, like, would I rather just not suck at tight end or have a great receiver? So I took the great receiver.
All right. Well, after there's one receiver I probably would have taken over him is Chris Godwin. But
I thought about it.
That's 50-50. I'm okay with Jason going ahead of him. But Chris Godwin goes next. Alvin Kamara, Rashad White, Cam Akers, James Conner, Dallas Goedert, who I probably would have taken. Great. And Marquise Brown. So I'm back on the
Brown's
clock.
Going in the 6th round now. Gee whiz.
And one called shot, I guess, deserves another. So let's take Javonte Williams.
There you go. I guess if you take him, I can't. So there we go.
Yeah, you took Jackson Smith-Njigba. Deal with it. All right, and I actually do still like Christian Kirk here. So Mike Williams, Brandon Ayuk go. I like Christian Kirk better than both those guys, so awesome. He's still there.
Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco at the 703, Tyler Lockett, Dalvin Cook, George Pickens, Brandon Cooks, David Montgomery, Mike Evans. I'm once again on the clock. This is a PPR draft. There is a very obvious stud PPR receiver here.
It's a good one.
I just sort of default, honestly, to Deontay Johnson in the late 7th round in PPR drafts. And I can take my quarterback. James Cook went, Jordan Addison went, Dak Prescott, Jahan Dotson. We're going to punt on tight end. Maybe one of them will make it back to me. I'll have some luck, but I'm just going to take Deshaun Watson and lock up my quarterback here in the 8th round. Quentin Johnston, Evan Ingram. Yikes, the tight ends are going. Antonio Gibson, Pat Freiermuth, Kadarius Toney, A.J. Dillon, Traylon Burks. Ben is on the clock.
Well, all the tight ends I wanted are gone.
I figured you would be taking Evan Ingram, but he did not make it to you.
He did not. I guess I'll take Njoku. Why not?
That is really fun, isn't it?
Doesn't feel good. And I don't like who's on the board now either. This is... Ooh, there's one guy I still like.
Okay.
So I took Njoku. I guess we should say who went after. Josh took Deshaun Watson at the 8-3. Quentin Johnston, Evan Ingram, Antonio Gibson, Pat Freiermuth, Kadarius Toney, A.J. Dillon, Traylon Burks. I take Njoku at the 11. Then at the 8-12, 9-1, Brian Robinson and Michael Thomas. And I think I can call another shot on a running back. It's not that big a called shot, but I'm going to take Zach Charbonnet in a PPR league.
There you go. Not half bad there. Rashad Penny goes right after you. Tua Tagovailoa, Gabe Davis, Anthony Richardson, Odell Beckham, Jamal Williams, Juju Smith-Schuster. And I am once again on the clock. There's a guy that I really like that I think could be the number one wide receiver for his team. He's been lightening up training camp. Zay Flowers is on the board, so I'll grab him here in the 9th round. Khalil Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Dalton Schultz, Kirk Cousins, and I get to take the tight end that I wanted and grab Dalton Kincaid as my punt tight end.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well, he could suck, but at this point they all suck.
All right. I was really hoping there to get your boy, because when you said the guy who's going to be the number one wide receiver on his team, I thought you said meant Cortland Sutton for a brief moment.
No.
And I thought we had reverted back to last year when you were insane.
No. We've let that ship sail. Devon Achane, Geno Smith, Alan Lazard, Elijah Moore, Samaje Perine. Sutton goes right before you. You're telling me you didn't want to grab Sutton there?
No, I definitely
10,
did, actually. I would have taken him if he was there.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, in the late 10th round, what's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst thing? It's the same thing that's going to happen to these other guys. It's a PPR league. Bryce Young's got to throw to somebody. I'll take Adam Thielen here. And
there you go.
Be okay with his relative safety. All right. Jameson Williams and Jarrett McKinnon go after it. Back on the clock. Lord. I would like to take a different draft, please.
A whole different draft, huh?
Yeah. I'm going to take Tank Bigsby here.
All right.
I've got Travis Etienne. Let's just go get his handcuff.
There you go. Damian Harris, Chigakonkwo, Daniel Jones, Greg Dulcich, Tyler Higbee, Sky Moore, Rashad Bateman. I am once again on the clock. I'm going to take my handcuff. Grab Tyler Algier. Although I don't really view Algier just simply as a handcuff. I think he's got standalone value. Deonta Foreman goes. Elijah Mitchell goes. Jacoby Myers. And then Sam Laporta. I'm once again on the clock. And I'll be honest with you. I don't know who's worth drafting here. Here we go. Ezekiel Elliott. I hope he falls in the end zone a few times.
It could happen.
Not the worst. Jared Goff, Tyler Boyd, Darnell Mooney, Kendre Miller, Bryce Young, Rashee Rice, Rondale Moore, and Ben is on the clock again.
I'm curious to what you're going to think about this. It's one of the only guys here who I think could actually end up being a league winner, and it's Kyler Murray.
Interesting. Yeah.
Take him there, back half of the season, who knows? He's been a top 5 quarterback before. Maybe he can do it again.
Yeah, there you go. Get him in some trade bait.
Somebody will want a quarterback.
There you go. Russell Wilson goes. Gerald Everett goes. Ben is on the clock with his final pick of the draft.
With the recent run on veteran quarterbacks, I'm going to take a shot in the dark. Let's see if Kareem Hunt signs somewhere.
There you go. Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, Dawson Knox, Nico Collins, Romeo Dobbs, Derek Carr, Jalen Warren. I'm once again on the clock. I don't know. This is a little dicey, but I guess that's what it's going to be at the end
We're
of the
in the
draft.
13th round. It's okay.
I know. We'll take Zay Jones and not worry about it. All right. The draft is complete. Ben, give us a look at your team.
So, first round, we take Justin Jefferson at the 1-2, ladies and gentlemen. That feels pretty good. Then second round, we pair him up with Chris Olave. Feel really good about those first 2 picks. Get Travis Etienne early third. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but I think he's also extremely safe. He'll be just fine. Late, long term, but then we get Miles Sanders back at the 4th round, and also pick up Justin Fields, so possible top league winning quarterback. Later on, we grab David Njoku as our tight end, and Javonte Williams, funnily enough. We've been talking about him. What if he does, I think, back half of the league, instead of Breece Hall, he's going to flip. He could be the league winner. Because as of right now, all the other got is Samaje Perine. Samaje Perine is not as good as Dalvin Cook, guys.
No, he is not.
Also got Christian Kirk, who I think is slowly becoming a value this year. I think with the big season that Trevor Lawrence is going to have, we know how high on Calvin Ridley, but there's other guys in this offense who get the ball, and Christian Kirk is very, very good. Zach Charbonnet, we know he has standalone value on the bench. Adam Thielen could be a decent veteran option for Bryce Young. Tank Bigsby as the handcuffed for Travis Etienne. And then Kyler Murray and Kareem Hunt has dart throws who could end up having value higher than where they were drafted.
There you go. At quarterback, I grab Deshaun Watson. At running back, I get Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tyler Algier, and Ezekiel Elliott. Tight end, we grab Dalton Kincaid as the punt tight end for the draft. Who knows? Question marks all over the place, but maybe he'll be good. At wide receiver, I grab Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Deontay Johnson, Zay Flowers, and Zay Jones.
A lot of Zays.
A lot of Zays. Pretty solid. I don't know how you feel about it.
Your teammate could be catching some Zays.
Oh, my God.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's not half bad. Not half bad at all. Anything else you want to hop into before we get out of here?
I'm just excited for football, man. We're gonna keep doing weekly mock drafts, I believe.
Yep,
this was the first one. We're gonna try to do one of those every week going up into the season. I think we'll start picking. So we've drafted in the middle. I think last mock draft. This mock draft we'll draft it at the ends. We'll try to get different strategies to each one.
Maybe we'll do a super flex or something.
Maybe some super flex, yeah. Get different perspective for different people who play different formats.
There you go. That'll do it for this one. If you enjoy the episode, tell a friend, leave a rating and review wherever you're listening. Check us out on Instagram at @FantasyBrothers_. We're posting there all year long. That'll do it from us. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Brothers podcast. If you enjoyed the episode and want to connect to us, follow us on Instagram at @FantasyBrothers_ or on Twitter at @FantasyBros_. If you want to support the show, you can do that at Patreon /FantasyBrothers.